KNOC Radio Hard Rockology Show. That's Pretty Little Lie, a new song by Blackberry Smoke from their new record, The Whippoorwill. And on the phone with us, we have lead vocalist and guitar player Charlie Starr. Charlie, welcome to the show.
Hey, man, how you doing?
Great. A little bit late, but we're good with it.
Yeah, I had apparently some people in our organization are confused with dates and times.
I guess that happens when you're on the road so much during the year, right?
Yeah, man, we came home for a couple days, and we're actually heading out again here in about 2 hours.
So where are you heading to in 2 hours?
Chillicothe, Ohio.
Chillicothe, Ohio. I noticed on your webpage you got a lot of dates coming up with a lot of bands. One of them, Driving and Crying in New York City. That looks like a pretty good show coming up.
Yeah, man, those guys are all friends of ours. And they've been together a long time, you know. They've been making, just great music. Kevin Kinney is a brilliant songwriter, and they're a Georgia mainstay, you know.
So do you know most of the bands in Atlanta? Because it seems like you guys do. Because we played Jackal on the show earlier, and they produced your first record, I recall.
Yeah, Jesse Dupree did, and he was sort of our manager, I guess you could say, for the first year of our existence, and he kind of drug us all the way around this beautiful country with them in a van behind their bus. It was beautiful.
Well, this is Matt. Really appreciate you showing up or being on the show, Charlie. I just had a quick question, because that's one of the things, I guess your first album, Bad Luck Ain't No Crime, and that was the first album that you guys put out back in 2004, and that's the one that drew me to you guys originally back then, because that was a very hard Southern rock style music on that particular album. Was that influenced by James Dupree a little bit, or was that just the direction that you guys were in at that particular moment when you guys came out with that album?
Well, I think that the first three songs that that was the first time I'd ever really met him back then. That was in about 2001, I guess. And the first three songs that I sort of handed to him were Sanctified Woman, Normal Town, and Testify. And those three songs are on the first album. And those were all pretty in-your-face songs, you know. And I think that at that point, and that got him interested, specifically Sanctified Woman was the song that he loved so much. And Normal Town he loved because I think it was a little different than those other two songs. It was more of a, I've heard people say it's Beatlesque to them, I don't know. But at any rate, I guess at that point, and he was like, what else you got? And I said, well, I'm working on some other ones, and they kind of sound like this. And so he's like, I think maybe not his influence per se, because Jesse is he's an unbelievable polarizing figure. You know, he's one of a kind. But musically and as a person, he's one of my best friends. You know, but so yeah, I guess I'm just answering this in a very convoluted way, and I guess that's kind of where our headspace was at the moment too, which was loud and woolly and in your face. You know, and especially playing that tour as we were just sort of being birthed, you know, as a band. We were finding our legs, and we were playing loud rock and roll music for those people, and they loved it.
So do you have all the original members from that album still, or is there, I believe there was 4 members of the band on that record, and you added another member? There's 5 members in the band. Tell us about the members of the band. It's the same original 4. It's myself and the 2 brothers, bass player and drummer, Britt and Richard Turner, and second guitar and really pretty high harmony vocals is Mr. Paul Jackson. And we've had different people play piano and B3 organ on our recordings over the years, friends of ours from Atlanta, but those guys are always either too busy to be in the band, you know, or and we had to wait till we got a vehicle big enough to put another ass in. So when we finally got into a bus situation, then we met this guy living here in Atlanta named Brandon Steele, who turned out to be a fantastic piano player, and plus he really understands the music. You know, this is the kind of music that we play is what he loves as well. So that was the perfect fit.
Well, Well, I'm going to say this about Brandon Still. I think he's a phenomenal keyboard player, and I really like what he brings to the band and his playing. I mean, I listen to his playing, and there's so many different sounds that I hear in his playing, so many different influences, at least that I pick out of it. And that was one of the things that I really enjoyed on the new album, Whippoorwill, is the keys and the organ and such. But I guess the question I want to ask is because we were taking a look at how you guys are really defined as a band, and I'm just going to throw a couple names out there. You know, the Leonard Skinner Southern rock sort of, outlaw honky-tonk country, bluegrass gospel, which I definitely hear, and R&B mixed in there, which I hear all of those things. And I concur with that description of your band because I don't think you fit any particular style of music specifically. I think you incorporate so many different influences into your music, which makes you, I believe, unique, which is going to, in a way, appeal to a lot of different genres of people out there listening to music. Was that something that was intentional on your part, or how would you define the music that you guys are actually putting out right now?
No, I agree with you. Yeah, thank you very much. That's a huge compliment. And I can't really define it. You know, like we were just talking about, when I look back at what we've done and the records that we've made over these last 12 years, I see the growth and the evolution of the band. We've never sat and specifically discussed it, but I know that we don't want to make the same album twice. You know, we want to continue to grow as musicians, and as the years roll on, more and more of what has influenced you from when you first started playing music, from what hooked you in the beginning. I mean, the longer you're together, the more time you have to show that. You know, I guess the more time that there is for it to rear its ugly head or beautiful head or whatever the case may be. But no, I think that I'm always going to accidentally add the bluegrass and gospel type of influence, and it's really not intentional. I think it's just where you come from, you know.
No, I mean it's a wonderful blend of what you guys are putting out there, and I agree with you. All three albums that you've released, along with your EPs as well, all of them have a different sound to them, which I myself enjoy actually, because I could put the first album in, and then Whippoorwill. I mean, I listened to that album. I've been listening to that album now, I guess, for this past week, and it just, there's so much stuff going on there on that particular album, which I enjoy. So many different sounds that I really pick up on. So I think if you were going out there trying to do a different album every time, I think you've succeeded in that.
Well, thank you, man. I mean, I was looking at when we were about to record it, I was looking at the whole package of songs, as it were, and I was talking to Zach Brown about it, and we had a whole lot of songs because it had been, you know, a few years since we made the last album, so there was plenty of time for you know, all the songs that had been written. That's a long time, you know. It wasn't like I was put under the gun and it, like the deadline wasn't really put on me hard, you know. I had all this time to write plenty of songs, you know, and so anyway, I'm sorry, I'm losing my mind.
That's okay.
We'll guide you through it.
It was a funny thing to look at a song like Ain't Got the Blues right next to a song like Leave a Scar, to me, which that's night and day, but it's from one spectrum to the other as far as the influence of our band, you know, or our influences, I guess you would say. Because I would think that Leave a Scar pretty much knocks your teeth out, wouldn't you say? I mean, it was.
It's actually one of my favorite tracks on the album.
That one I enjoy, and I enjoy Sleeping Dogs and the title track, which is very hard to pronounce.
Whippoorwill?
Whippoorwill. Yeah, the lady the other day she was very sincere, but she said, "I am enjoying the Whirlpool so much."
When we first did the research on the record, I was like, "How do you pronounce this?" And I said, "Oh, it's the bird, the whippoorwill." Is that where you got the idea for the album, or what's the story behind that?
It is. It's from the bird. You know, there's so many old country songs and old bluegrass songs specifically that mention the whippoorwill, and I thought, I mean, there's different reasons, but it's such a cool name, first of all. But then my grandmother, when I was a little kid, I spent a lot of time with her, and it really is just a good memory for me. It's not really, it's not an interesting story, really. I remember her describing to me what birds made what sounds. and whistling them to me, you know, and she whistled the whippoorwill call, and it's just the kind of thing that sticks with you, you know.
Because I remember, like, when I did the research on what the whippoorwill was, the story is exactly similar to what you just said. Someone said that at nighttime the birds would come out and sing, and they would always tell stories and such, but you don't hear a lot of the whippoorwills anymore, so it's kind of like they're gone. Do you still hear them a lot in the South down there?
Not a lot. I don't know if I could tell you when the last time I heard one was, and I live pretty far out in the country in Georgia. I don't know. I'd be hard pressed to kind of like, when's the last time I saw a bunny rabbit? I don't know.
Yeah. Now, for the new album, the recording process, like you were mentioning a couple of minutes ago, was different than the last two records. If I can recall correctly, you pretty much wrote the songs on the road for the first two, and this time you had a bunch of songs ready to go into the studio, and you, like you said, had time to fine tune everything. Is that pretty accurate?
Yeah, most of the songs, well, at least half, if not more, of the songs on the new album we had played live. So, yeah, I mean, that makes it a whole lot easier when you set up the gear, and you know, that's pre-production's been done for a while, you know, and you know exactly how they go, and that's the way they go. So, the other albums too, we would come in and record, especially Little Piece of Dixie. It was the most frustrating of the three or three and a half, but we would go in with Dan Huff and Justin Niebank, who were fabulous, by the way, and record 2 songs, or maybe 3, and then we would go back out on the road, and Dan would go do his other production work. And then when both of our schedules, when we were able to convene again, you know, when everybody had the free time, it was like, okay, well, let's run in and record 2 or 3 more. And then we did that 3 or 4 different times, and it was tough, you know, because it's like, you know, how do you change your focus from out there doing the thing that you do on the road, and then you run in and go into the studio, which is a completely different mindset.
Yeah, so you're pretty much playing all the songs live first, and then you go into the studio, and it's a totally different ballgame, right?
Yeah, but a couple or more of the songs on Little Piece of Dixie, I just kind of had on a CD, just a work CD, you know, just an acoustic version of the song, and Dan, you know, was like, okay, today let's cut this one, and it was kind of like, well, wait a minute, we've never played that one live before. All I have is just a one acoustic guitar version of this song, so that speaks volumes about the playing ability of my guys in Blackberry Smoke, my boys. You know, they were able to sit down, and within a few minutes, it's like, all right, well, it goes like this, and so that's an experience that every band should go through, things like that. That's part of being in a band, you know. I guess it's like the little adventures and the little challenges that you have to overcome. But this time it was just more, there was a very linear vision, and we knew we still didn't have a great deal of time to get it done. We had 4.5 days, and we had 22 songs.
You said 4.5 days, right?
4.5 days, yeah.
To record the whole record.
To record pretty much the whole record. We went back and spent 3 days later, 3 different days.